Guys, welcome back to a new YouTube show. Today I want to talk about Maurizio Sarri, who is very much at the center of the stage again for next season. You know, he's been without a club since last year when he resigned from Lazio, but today he's been linked again with the Milan job, and it's somebody to keep a close eye on because really somebody who the top Italian sides have been looking to over the last few months. And Sarri is very much interested in returning to Serie A. As far as I know, Serie A and Premier League are his favorite options, and he's had talks with Premier League clubs as well in the past. Most recently with some Saudi sides, but he's not too convinced about moving abroad for such a league, so he's not too convinced about going to the Saudi Pro League, and is waiting for a concrete project, for a concrete offer, mostly from Serie A and Premier League, but is very much open to um, other options as well. So the latest rumor is on Milan, and what's the situation right now? Well, Milan, first of all, they're looking for a new sporting director. Um, there's a video from a few weeks ago where I explain why they didn't go for Fabio Paratici, or better, why negotiations with Fabio Paratici collapsed. He was about to sign, but then there were legal reasons, let's say, that prevented Milan from closing an agreement with the ex-Juventus director. Giorgio Furlani has been tasked with finding and identifying and reaching an agreement with a new sporting director, and he's met Iglitari multiple times. Now, the thing is, Stare is without a club. So this means he can sign with Milan anytime he wants. The fact that he hasn't signed suggests that maybe he is not, that Furlan is not too convinced about hiring Tare, to say the least, because if he wanted to sign him, if he was convinced about hiring Tare, he would have done it already, probably. So there are other options on the table mentioned by the media, like D'Amico of Atalanta, Giovanni Sartori of Bologna, and Giovanni Manna of Napoli. But again, their situation is they're pretty similar between each other because they are very unlikely to leave their clubs, and their clubs, first of all, they don't want to give them away, especially to direct opponents. So there are not many options left for Milan, especially because they want somebody both for sporting director and for coach who has a deep knowledge of Italian football. They want to start a new project with somebody that has a deep knowledge of Serie A. So um it's at this moment, at least, the idea is to rule out any potential foreign candidate or any candidate that doesn't have a good and deep knowledge of Italian football. They want to hire somebody who knows exactly how to do things in Italy. And this is why they've been talking mostly to Paratici, who's an ex-Juventus director. They've been talking to Tare, who's achieved great things at Lazio, and they are considering other options as well. But the other options are very different. And Gazzetta has been reporting over the last few days that Milan could even stay with this sort of management. So without a real sporting director, but with a CEO, and with Zlatan Ibrahimovic supporting both Furlani and Geoffrey Moncada for the transfers. But it's not a management. It's not an organization that work quite well in terms of results. So I'm not too sure this would be the way to go. But especially Gazette has been reporting over the last few days that this could be an option. Moncada didn't seem too convinced, to be fair. In his latest interview with Dazon, he said, we're still looking for a sporting director, so I would still expect Milan to hire a new sporting director. But in the meantime, there are rumors about the coach as well. Of course, if they hire somebody new as a director, as an executive, he will be tasked with picking the right coach. But Milan already had talks with Sarri when they sacked Fonseca in December. You know, you remember there were rumors about Milan sacking Fonseca, which happened straight after the Roma game. And I know Sarri was called by Milan during that match. He was informed about the status of negotiations with Conceição. He was told that Conceição had accepted that sort of agreement with Milan, so 1 year contract with an option to end the agreement at the end of the season. But Sarri rejected. Not because he doesn't want Milan or because he doesn't is not attracted by coaching Milan, but because he knew what sort of situation he would have to manage. He knew that the Milan situation was already very difficult, and even if Fonseca won the Supercoppa straight away and qualified for the Coppa Italia recently, the rest of the results in Champions League and Serie A have been pretty poor, to be fair. So he knew that the situation wasn't easy at all for Milan, and so he opted to wait and see if there was another possible project, again, possibly in Serie A or Premier League. And for Sarri right now, is not much about the length of the contract or the money. It's much more about the project. He wants a project that matches his ambitions and matches his idea of football. So he still believes Milan can offer that, but it was not something that they could offer in December because he knew the contract would be short term, and the project, of course, would be short term because it would be very much tied to the results of the current campaign. So he's somebody who has evolved a lot as a coach in recent years, and he's not anymore too much tied to the playing style, but he cares a lot about the result as well. As we could see at Juventus, at some point he had to accept that the players didn't not like, but I mean, were far in terms of skill sets from his playing style. So he had to find a solution to, find a way to get to the end of the season and get the result. And in the end, he did it because he won the Serie A title and he was the last Juventus coach to do it. So he's very much attracted by a club like Milan, but he rejected them in December because he knew the project that he was offered wasn't long term. So the circumstances in the next few weeks will be very different because Milan will have a chance to offer a 2 or 3 year contract. But again, it's not much about the contract, it's about the project that Sarri will be offered. And Sarri ticks the Milan boxes because Milan want, again, somebody who knows about Italian football and has deep knowledge of Italian football. And it's no coincidence that Allegri and Sarri and Mancini as well, Gasperini were linked with Milan. They're all Italian. They all know how to win trophies. They all have a winning pedigree, and this is why they've all been linked with Milan. Then starting negotiation is something different. Sarri has been in active talks with Milan 100% in December, but this is something that, of course, he had to stop because, as I said, he wasn't convinced about the project, mostly because it was a short-term project. The summer talks in the summer would be very different, even before the summer, because clubs will have to choose the new coaches in the last month, in the next month and a half. And Milan are very likely to change the coach. Juventus may change the coach depending on to the results and the Club World Cup and what happens with other coaches as well. Napoli will change if Antonio Conte decides to leave. Roma will change a coach. That Atalanta, maybe Gasperini said, is not going to extend beyond 2026, but said he could even leave earlier. So that's another option, and is an option that Sarri has been considered as well because he had talks with Atalanta a few weeks ago and a few months ago. So there are many options on the table for him and for other Italian coaches who are currently waiting for a club. And Milan is one of these options because they really much want a coach who's Italian and a coach who can hit the ground running very quickly and get the results and develop the players that they have as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all this develops over the summer. But Sarri is really somebody to keep an eye on because he really wants to return. Again, his priorities are Serie A and Premier League. He's not too convinced about other leagues. He had talks with the Saudi Pro League, but he's not too happy about going there. He wants a good project, a serious project, perhaps the last project of his career, who knows, but he wants to do it well, and Milan are very much an option for him. Let me know your favorite candidate for the Milan job, which coach the Rossoneri should get, and which coach your favorite club you think should get. I'll be posting more of these videos about Serie A and Italian football with the information that I have. So if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and more will come also from Serie A stadiums and training grounds, and some stuff from the Coverciano and the Italy national team as well. So let's keep in touch. Thank you for following me as usual. We speak very, very soon. Ciao.